Good evening. This is Frank Holzhauser of Frankly Speaking Live, and my co-host David Kaniuk is not here yet. So give you the call numbers if you'd like to join the show. If you'd like to call in with your questions or comments, call toll-free at 855-244-0077. And if you're in the local Des Moines area, call 244-0077. While we're waiting for David to arrive, and I'm not exactly sure how late he's going to be, but I thought I would start off the show with something that I posted on Facebook this afternoon, and I put on my blog. If you would like to go to franklyspeakinglive.com, you can read my blog. And this account comes from John 3:1-17. And basically I write, Nicodemus met in secret with Christ on a certain evening. He was stirred and strangely attracted to the Messiah, even though at this point he knew not his Savior's purposes. Nicodemus thought him to be a teacher sent from God, and he full well understood the danger of rejecting reproofs from heaven and the calamities that would follow. In the Sanhedrin, he was cautious and moderate in defense of the Nazarene. So in his introduction to the Lord, he said that he knew Jesus to be sent of God. Nicodemus expressed unbelief, but Christ laid his motives open and bare by saying, unless you're born from above, you cannot see the kingdom. His words spoke to a spiritual rebirth or a regeneration. Nicodemus felt himself secure in the favor of God. He was shocked to find out that he could not enter heaven in his current state. But a new birth was not an unfamiliar story to him. Converts to Israel were considered as a new birth. But he needed no change. The natural man receiveth not the spiritual. But Christ did not provide argument with argument. He proceeded to lay Nicodemus' mind open by re-emphasizing his original words by saying he must be born of both water and spirit. Nicodemus then realized that he was in front of the one spoken of by John the Baptist, and that there must be death to both self and sin. Then, later in the conversation, the Holy Spirit was then compared to the wind, and that when it blows, it rustles and affects all. Trace back all the consequences of any conversion, and most aren't immediate, but are the result of Nicodemus's conversion. By long wooing, it's a patient and protracted process. Then comes a direct appeal. Christ pointed out Nicodemus's spiritual blindness by saying that he was entrusted and yet ignorant. Nicodemus was drawn by the Messiah's dignity and love and was not offended. Christ hearkened Nicodemus back to Moses when he said, as the serpent was raised up in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be. By faith we receive grace, but grace is not our Savior. Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus together removed the Lord's bruised and battered body from the cross, and both employed their wealth later on to the newly formed church. He was a disciple of the Master. He related his story to John the Beloved, as it took him about 3 years for Christ's words to make full impact. Then the same Joseph and Nicodemus took care of the stoned prophet Stephen's burial in Acts chapter 8. John 3:16 states, whosoever believeth should not perish, but have everlasting life. And in verse 17 continues, for God sent not his Son to condemn the world, but through him the world might be saved. So today on View from the Pew, we had a conversation based on predestination, and I would assert that this conversation that Nicodemus had with the Messiah will relate to that topic, and will explain to you that both the Holy Spirit and God, and of course Jesus, has the interest of the whole world in mind. I believe the call is given to all, but all won't accept the call. A couple of things that I have would mention that I've kind of dug out of my archives, and my guest host, my co-host, is here.
I was going to say, I got demoted. Well, Frank, I've got some exciting news for you.
Okay.
I was able.
You're here.
That's
the exciting news.
Well, I don't want to seem too arrogant, but
Okay.
That's number one. But I just got done negotiating a deal. I got 5 Taliban prisoners released for a 12-pack of gum.
Okay.
You're welcome. And it's double mint as well, so we're getting double the mint that we would normally get. So that's like 24 sticks of gum.
So you brought gum for everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. There's enough gum to go around, ladies
All
and gentlemen.
right. Well, if any of you who are just joining the show, that is my co-host, David Kanyuk. And he was a little late, got caught up in traffic, or
No, I had a late phone call. The joys of
late from work.
working in a call center. So yeah, I got stuck on a call for a little bit, but we're all good now. So
Okay,
I apologize
well,
for my
we'll get,
tardiness.
We'll get rolling here.
There we
that,
go. Now I can hear what's going on.
Now that you're hooked up. Well, I don't know if you probably weren't a friend on my Facebook when I posted this.
Mm-hmm.
So I've dug a few things out of my Facebook this afternoon while I was doing some show prep. And it's been probably 6 months ago that I posted this, but I put, if the Obama administration was a pregnancy, it'd be the first time I'd support abortion.
That's a pretty late term abortion, though.
Yes.
Be all nasty.
Wasn't you sharing something a couple of weeks ago about doctors who wanted to abort children who are already born?
Well, that's true. That's right. There are some bioethicists out there who argue that we should be able to abort kids as old as, I think, up to 3 years old, if I'm not mistaken, is what they were arguing.
Well,
there's maybe not quite up to 3, but their assertment is that you're not really considered a human being until you're 3 years old. So anytime up to that point, you should be able to, abort
Sure.
them even after they're born.
Well, here's a couple of other little items that I dug out of mothballs. Obama reminds me of the woman who told me once, quote, she would make me forget my ex's name. Liberals and Obama remind us every day of our ex's names, Bush and Reagan. Never mind the fact he begged for the job, said what a lousy job the other guy done, and what a great job he was going to do. But every time he gets his pickle caught in the slicer, liberals quickly drag out the ghost of Bush. He owns this war and the people economy, but every time we turn around, you'd think your ex is your president.
Right. They're still blaming it all on Bush. When now there are more deaths in Afghanistan and the Afghanistan war under Obama's watch than there were under Bush. I believe there are more deaths in the Iraqi war under Obama's watch than there were under Bush's watch. Everything, and this is what I said back in 2008 when he was running, and everybody in Chicago said, no, he's going to be changed. No, he's going to be changed. You don't understand. It's going to be so historic because he's going to be black.
Well,
I said he's going to be a continuation of all the policies under George W. Bush. And I was right. So,
Well, yeah, not many, when you get the same, from Goldman Sachs, when you get the same bankers that sign up for whether it's a Democrat or a Republican administration to head up the Federal Reserve or head up the Treasury Department or whatever, it kind of gives you the feeling things don't change in D.C.
Exactly. Who's really running the show? And you're right on the money, no pun intended. Tracing it back to those big bankers in the Federal Reserve. When the Federal Reserve elects a new chair, they present the President of the United States with a list of people that he's allowed to nominate. He can't just go out and find the best person for the job. So that list can be as many as 100 names, or it can be as few as one name.
Well, it's a little bit like the flap. They when the judges here in Iowa that brought us gay marriage, they were quickly pointed out that they were Brandstand appointees. A lot of them were Brandstand appointees. Well, what you didn't know, it was a panel of 3 Democrats that provide the list of choices that Brandstand is supposed to choose from.
I did not know that. That's a good
point. What you see is not always what you think you see.
Huh.
But here I was going to talk about a little, I don't know if I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but I caught a bit of the quasi-socialist Thom Hartmann, and that is Tom spelt with a Thom, on Free Speech TV. Tom echoed the Obama theme that you didn't build that by saying it's a privilege to own and operate a business, and it's the obligation, if you do, to pay your employees a living wage. Well, besides the fact that we are in a capitalist society, it reminds me that the social utopians never give up. They just get old and die. You see, they seek, as John Lennon's Imagine, a perfect utopian world. No heaven, no hell, no hunger, no countries, no borders, no war, no poor. But what they don't get is they cannot achieve this without God. Scripture says there will be wars and rumors of wars, and be not afraid, for this must come to pass, and also points out that there will always be poor among us. This is the nature of sin. It's not because God wants to make us miserable. You see, the tyranny of the slumlord sometimes gives you rest because once in a while he sleeps, but the tyranny of the do-gooder never ends because they never sleep. Obama is playing sleight of hand with the minimum wage, so everyone is singing that tune. So raise it. But raise it not to $15 an hour, raise it to $100 an hour. Why not? Because liberals won't. Even they know it would kill jobs, but it feels good.
It feels good. And boy, does that look like a good bullet point on your campaign ads at election time.
But it feels good to give lip service to care, even when they really don't. But dream on, socialists. Utopia will come, but not in this life. But that's right. You don't believe in God. Your God is nothing to kill or die for, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Blah, blah, blah. Nice song, nice thought, nice dream, but get real.
Well, let's just taking a look at his point that every business has a responsibility to pay their employees a living wage. Okay, sure, they have the responsibility to pay a living wage. I don't think that any employer should pay them something where they're not going to be able to live. However, isn't it the responsibility of our elected officials to make sure that we have a dollar that's actually valued?
Well, sure.
That's the problem here. The $8 or $9 that you were making an hour for minimal wage, that's not going as far as it used to. It's not, because we've got inflation, we've got inflation because the value of the dollar is being decreased, and the value of the dollar is being decreased exponentially under Obama because he keeps up with all the stimulus.
Well, the printing presses haven't stopped.
Exactly. So you're pumping all this. It's like Mickey Mantle trading cards.
Yeah.
You got more Mickey Mantle trading cards out there. They're not going to be worth anything.
Well, this is Ben Frankly speaking live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my late host, David Kaniuk.
Oh,
and
man.
that's not late as in passed away. That's late as in he was late this evening. But we will return here in a few minutes, and we will pick up on our main topic this evening, and that will be the prisoner swap of one American for 5 Taliban detainees.
I'm going to chew some of that gum now.
Okay.
Get away from my Sunito credit card. more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
Hey, what's wrong? Logan wants Let's Rock Elmo for his birthday, but since Steve lost his job, I don't think we can afford it. What did you do for money last year when you and John were struggling to make ends meet?
My secret? I went to Me and Mommy to Be. We sold all of Megan and Ryan's clothes and toys there. They give back the highest percentage on their items in the area, and it was so easy.
Megan's clothes? She's 15.
Yes, they can sign newborn through trendy teens. We're not struggling now, but I'm gonna keep saving and making money at Me and Mommy to Be.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device, your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
Shalom! Every week on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman, we'll talk about issues in the Middle East, issues related to the Jewish tradition and religious traditions in general, and keep you up to date on exactly what's going on around the world. You may know some of the story, but you haven't heard all of the story until you've heard it on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman and our special guests we have on every week.
Hey, this is Doc with Doc and Lefty. I want to tell you about our brand new time slot. It's from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's on the same night, Tuesdays. We now follow Ed Fallon and the Fallon Forum on webcast1live.com. I want to tell you a little bit about our show. Our show is focused on local, state, and national, and sometimes international politics. We like to keep people updated and informed. We also have very interesting guests. So please join us every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on webcast1live.com.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kanyuk. I'm glad that you reminded me that Gay Pride is, this weekend?
I believe that's correct, this weekend. And then Monday, Cher is in town, so it's just like a whole festival.
Yes, well, I'm certainly glad that is this weekend, because I wouldn't want to miss it.
Doesn't it make you miss Barney Frank?
Yes. Barney and his sister, Ann Lewis. He's gay and she's a lesbian.
Doesn't it make you appreciate Lindsey Graham?
Yeah.
Ooh, wait.
Okay. Speaking of gum, did you bring enough for everybody?
You know it.
No, I've posted three separate things on this Taliban swap for an American prisoner this week, and I started out on June the 2nd, and I wrote, anybody out there want to trade me $5 for $1? Sounds like a good trade for me. I've seen some people out of their depth in my life, but Secretary of Dunce Chuck Hagel takes the cake. His confirmation hearings was a joke. He could not or would not answer the simplest direct questions, but his defense of the exchange of 5 mid to high level Taliban detainees for one American POW, which apparently now was not even apparently listed as a State Department as a POW, but held by terror-related groups, again, even on a friendly meet the depressed with David Gregory, Hagel couldn't answer a direct question. Apparently, the American is suspect of going AWOL or being a deserter before he was captured. But Hagel looked like a deer caught in your high beams. You see, Obama is a terrorist sympathizer and will do anything to destroy this country, including putting terrorists back on the battlefield. Now, Dave and I may not agree on this point, but I continue to write, terrorists who don't wear a uniform have no Geneva Convention rights. They can be held until the war is over. If the war lasts forever, I guess they're held forever. Do you want these guys back on the battle lines trying to kill Americans? We're setting up our troops for hostage takers. Now that they know, numbnuts Obama and Hagel will trade 5 for 1.
Well, yeah, we won't debate the merits of indefinite detention today, but the fact of the matter is these guys are responsible for a lot of death and a lot of destruction. I mean, at the very least, they should be turned over to their own governments for prosecution. But instead, they get to go to Qatar, where Obama said, we will make sure they're watched very closely. And Qatar said, no, we won't. Let's see. And who are the 5? We've got these 5 pretty guys here.
Now, them is some guys you'd want to invite home to meet your mother, wouldn't you?
It's like the new Brady Bunch over here. So yeah, these guys are responsible. Oh, let's see here. There's Abdul Haq Wasik. He was the Deputy Minister of Intelligence for the Taliban. We've got, let's see, Mullah Nurullah Nouri, who is described in government reports as a military mastermind of sorts who engaged in hostilities against U.S. and coalition forces in Zabul province. Just goes on and on. So these guys are a bunch of jerks that were released here. The question is, why? Why? What is so important about these 5 guys? What's so important about Bergdahl that he had to be gotten out of? Now, they're saying that that he was, his health was in danger or something like that. And video shows, no, his health was not in danger at all. I'm not sure what you're trying to tell me.
I was going to say, hand me a piece of your paper there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here. So, yeah, he's not, he hasn't been in any type of adverse health that we can tell. Well, he was seen in videos walking out to the chopper and everything.
Let me read this while you mention that, because I think that kind of speaks to what you're talking about. On the same night, on June the 2nd, I caught another little piece of something on one of the news networks. And I write, just when you think Obama has done the dumbest thing you've ever seen, just wait 5 minutes. This prisoner trade being the latest stupid move, 2 for 1 would be bad enough, but 5 for 1 is beyond belief. 4 of the 5 Taliban are rated at high risk to return to the battlefield, while in Gitmo, they got better health care than most Americans. So they're in top health. And we get in return a guy supposedly near death and someone by all reports, who went AWOL. As many as 6 to 14 fellow soldiers were supposedly killed looking for him. He has written that his time, Bergdahl has written that his time in the service was basically a joke and that he was finding himself in contempt of America. Well, that's probably the reason Obama negotiated his release, because he and his wife also despise America. Hagel, Rice, and Carney all spewed the same talking points when quizzed by the press. Whether our soldier defected his post, they all are programmed to say, well, we're just happy to have him back after being held for 5 years. We just hope he gets well. They totally sidestepped and ignored the question. Some question whether this was an effort to get the VA scandal off the front page. Well, Obama don't care. He just can't help himself. You see, when you are a terrorist sympathizer and you despise America because it's evil and was founded in evil, like Reverend Wright, our chickens are coming home to roost, not God bless America, but God dang America, so America will get what it deserves. Obama is guilty of treason. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley says Obama has broken the law not by informing Congress.
Right. Turley's saying that. I think Jeffrey Toobin was saying that. Yep, here we go. He was on CNN earlier this week telling Wolf Blitzer that Barack Obama clearly broke the law by failing to provide Congress 30 days notice before releasing 5 high-level Taliban prisoners from the Guantanamo Bay detention facility. He said, quote, "You've looked at the law, you've looked at the signing statement, you've gone through it." Blitzer asked Toobin, "Did the president break the law?" Toobin replied, "Oh, I think he clearly broke the law. The law says 30 days notice. He didn't give 30 days notice." So he's starting to call for impeachment. Well, he's not calling for impeachment, but he's saying that the law was broken. Andrew Napolitano is calling for impeachment. He says that it goes beyond just breaking the 30 days notice rule. He says by giving material assistance to a terrorist organization, he ought to have known that that's what these guys will do. This is by far and then referring to the 30 days notice provision, this is by far the lesser of the 2 laws that he violated. He and his team violated the federal statute, which makes criminal providing material assistance to a terrorist organization. This includes money, this includes ceramic mugs, this includes maps, this includes professional services, and this includes releasing human assets back to a terrorist organization. So what's the deal with Barack Obama? Why?
Well, to me, there's only 2 choices in all of this, and it comes down to basically you have to conclude that Barack Obama is the most inept, tone-deaf, dumb president of the United States that we've had in our lifetime, or the only other option is to conclude that he is the smartest guy in the room and knows exactly what he's doing. Now, besides the fact that we have to take liberals' word for it that he is the smartest guy in the room, because no one has access to his school records, so we have to take, we have to take the word for it that he is the smartest man in the room, and Hillary is the smartest woman in the room. But besides that, you can only come to one or the other conclusion. He either knows exactly what he's doing, trying to so infuriate Americans right after the VA scandal didn't pee him off enough. Mm-hmm. So we need a double whammy the Americans by following up the VA scandal with.
Yeah, well, I doubt he's trying to rile up Americans with that. I think, if you're playing that route, it sounds more like he was trying to get the heat off of the VA scandal, which we're not really talking about the VA.
I don't buy it, though, because nobody's going to forget the VA scandal. And like somebody said the other night, one of the talking heads, this only adds to the VA story because it's a story that is associated with the military. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the VA scandal disappears. I think number one, he has contempt for the country. I don't think he can help himself.
I agree.
And I will dispute the fact that he's the smartest guy in the room, but I say he's doing exactly what he wants to do, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Do you think he's trying to provoke the military? Do you think he's trying to discourage them enough? And this might be more of an extreme instance, or extreme postulating, but do you think he might be trying to provoke those elements that have not sworn allegiance to Barack Obama? Do you think he's trying to provoke them into some sort of coup attempt?
Well,
I mean, that sounds like a really radical thing, but with all the firings of generals and things that are going on, there's so much stuff that's going on beyond the surface right now in the military.
Yeah, sure. Well, we've had at times in our history, we've had a very contentious relationship between the president and the military and different spying organizations such as the CIA. Kennedy threatened to blow the CIA into 1,000 splinters, 10,000 splinters. He was so angry at him for the quote-unquote attempts on Fidel. But I go on to say this Bergdahl story gets more muddled at each turn, but pay attention here. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, who is a liberal Democrat, said tonight that the 3 co-equal branches of government is quickly morphing before our very eyes into an imperialistic or a uber presidency. This should alarm anyone who has the insight who has insight of the coming of the mark of the beast that will be issued. The beast power will be issued, the beast power and its image, and that image being the power and the might that the United States will bring to bear through war and economic sanctions. But above and beyond that, the powers to be never listed Bergdahl as a POW. Mm-hmm. Now we hear that the group that held him was the Haqqanis. And that's a guess at the spelling that I penned. But they have been compared by one author on the talk shows the other night as compared to the Sopranos, in that they are only in it for the money. So did we pay a ransom along with letting 5 Taliban leaders go. The dad talks and looks like a Taliban, complete with praising Allah, and no one will even entertain the question of its possible desertion. But all told, this is another scandal that stinks to the pit of Hades.
There's even talk in some circles that the little intro, Arabic intro, was consecrating the White House in the name of Allah.
Well, not speaking Arab, they could have said anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that story there. But I don't know. It's either something with the 5 guys that we want them back out in the field.
Well, we'll pick this back up. Keep your thought. We'll pick this back up. This has been Frankly Speaking with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and co-host David Kaniuk. And we'll pick up with David's thought when we return at the top of the hour.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did is perfect. It's great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
And And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live, and I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kaniuk, and as always, Ryan producing. You wanted to pick up with a thought before that we left off before the break?
Well, as normally what happens when we go to a break, I've kind of lost that. So,
Okay.
but here's kind of, we're kind of splitting off into two different lines of thinking. Either this was an incredibly stupid move, or this is something that he wanted to do. Another thought that had sprung to mind earlier in the week, you had actually kind of hit on it with the whole comment that you made about bankers and the powers that be. There had been some talk over last week's Bilderberg conferences that they're not quite as happy because Obama's just not getting things done as fast as they want things to be done. So maybe if we're taking the route of Obama being a complete dunce, complete empty shell, and is just going along with what the handlers are telling him to do you think the handlers, told him, hey, get these guys out, it'll take the heat off the VA, in a marked attempt to throw Obama under the bus, knowing that this would get a huge reaction? I mean, even when you've got, like I said, Jonathan Turley and Jeffrey Toobin coming out, and even Time Magazine is doing some reporting on it. They had a report out earlier in the week talking about how the White House overrode internal objections on that prisoner release.
One thing I know about this that I've heard in the last couple of days is apparently this deal. This isn't some new deal. Apparently, this new deal this deal goes back as far as 10 or 11. That they was wanting to free this guy, and apparently Dianne Feinstein shot it down.
Yeah, even Time Magazine in this piece said that Pentagon and intelligence communities had successfully fought off the release of the 5 men in the past. This was out of the norm, says one official familiar with the debate over the dangers of releasing the 5 Taliban officials. There was never the conversation. Obama's move was an ultimate victory for those at the White House and the State Department, who had previously argued the military should suck it up and salute, says the official familiar with the debate. So, gee, I wonder who those officials would be. Would it be the Iranian-born Valerie Jarrett, maybe, who is trying to get these guys out? Because one of these guys was involved with talking with Iran.
Well, we know for a fact that these host countries that are supposed to imprison these guys for us if we do shut down Gitmo aren't going to hold these guys. They will escape. They'll bribe their way out. Something will happen. They will never get held.
Well, a lot of these guys that got swept up in Gitmo are completely innocent. There were many instances where the CIA goes into these villages. They're trying to get any information. They go in there with briefcases full of cash. And they say, hey, lead me to Taliban.
Sure.
The village leaders are like, well, heck, that's a briefcase full of cash. Ahmed over there, sheep herder, Taliban. So we go grab 16-year-old Ahmed, throw him in a hole.
Sure.
And never hear from him again.
Yeah, well, I'm positive that stuff like that goes on.
Here's the thing. So why not go release Ahmed first, get these guys who should be out of Gitmo, and which make this a blot on the country, get these guys out first, and then you can deal with the jerks like the Brady Bunch over here.
Well, I've heard that as many as 30%, 1 in 3, will return to the battlefield. This is the experiences we've had with detainees who've been released in the past. Is about 30% of them return to the battle, but. I don't know that it was the State Department for sure, but 4 of these 5 are rated as high risk to return. So why release those guys? How about release some of the goobers that there's a good chance they're not going to return? But this is the deal that they negotiated. They wanted these particular 5 out, and they've wanted these 5 out going back several years.
Yeah, and that's the big question. Why these 5? I don't know. Just taking a cursory glance, some of these guys might have a couple of these guys. They're wanted by the United Nations for war crimes for murdering thousands of Shiite Muslims. That's Mullah Narolla Nori. We talked about him a couple minutes ago, and Mullah Mohammed Fazi. Both are wanted by the UN for murdering thousands of Shiites. The later of which Fazi murdered Shiite Muslims in Afghanistan. So. You would think Afghanistan would be pretty excited about his release.
Well, you posted something on my Facebook this week, and it was apparently a video or an article about Jay Carney, 2013, no decision about Bergdahl detainee deal without consulting Congress.
That's right. Back in 2013, he said that there would not be any way, what did he say? The quote was, "We would not make any decisions about transfer of any detainees without consulting with Congress and without doing so in accordance with U.S. law."
Now,
oops. I wonder if that's why he left, because he left that day.
Well, yeah.
Did he finally say, all right, I can lie about a lot of stuff. I can't lie about this.
Baghdad Jay Carney?
Yeah.
Well, you then, after you posted it, you commented on your own post and said, well, maybe old Jay reached his limit on Friday before the swap was announced and decided to jump ship like the little commie rat that he is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I then posted back to you, I says, now let's not insult rats.
And then we've got soldiers who were in his platoon, Bergdahl's platoon. Here's the issue we're not even talking about. This guy just walked off. He wasn't captured. He walked off. The reports are that he was looking for Taliban. We've got buried in here in one of the reports that I've got here, we've got interviews and quotes from one of the guys who was in Bergdahl's platoon saying that they were listening to the radio chatter and they overheard that an American had reached that a nearby village and was looking for Taliban, American-speaking Taliban. So this guy was a deserter at the very least and a collaborator at the very worst. And then this is the video that I sent over to Ryan that I wanted to have him play. Ryan, can you cue that up? This is a State Department official who's going on TV saying that our soldiers who are in the platoon with Bergdahl are lying about him.
In a stunning development late today, the president's State Department appeared to challenge those two soldiers you just heard from, suggesting that those men and others like them are misleading the American public about Sergeant Bo Bergdahl and his action in Afghanistan. Here is Fox News producer Luke Tomlinson questioning State.
Does the State Department consider Sergeant Bergdahl to be a deserter?
The State Department, no, Lucas. Look, what we've said is we are going to learn the facts about what happened here.
According to those around him, his platoon mates, his squad mates, company mates, they said he walked off.
Some of them, there are conflicting reports out there about this.
The guys on national television last night, his squad mates, platoon mates were not correct.
I'm saying we don't know the fact pattern yet here. We don't. Nobody knows exactly what happened that night.
Well, I think that his squad mates have the best indication what
I don't
happened
think that
night.
that's the case.
They don't
All
have the
right,
best
thank you, Ryan.
information. Joining me now is
We don't know, Lucas. We don't know the fact pattern, Lucas.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that clip up because the Kelly Files is the name of her program, I believe, and she had 6 to 8 of his platoon mates on last night talking about his various exploits, and they all agreed that he absolutely deserted.
Yeah.
Every one of them raised their hand when she asked, does anybody believe that he deserted?
Yeah, they were only there. They were only listening in on what was going on, but obviously they don't know because they're not in on the State Department lie.
The spin on this, though, is I've heard on this Free Speech Network, which I occasionally tune into now, and the lady was on there that had a guest that said that they was showing some clips of some homemade video or cell phone videos showing some of his platoon mates, quote, that they were other people in the platoon was they was showing that they were also discontent with the Army and the Army's goals over in Afghanistan, so that they're trying to now say that he wasn't the only one, that it was a platoon full of these people.
Yeah.
So I'm not, what's the old saying? The truth is stranger than fiction.
That is the old saying. So again, it gets back. Who stands to gain over these guys' release? I mean, is Bergdahl like a deep cover intelligence operative that we needed to get back? Are these guys, kind of CIA operatives? I know one of them. What's this guy? Kirkwa or Kahakwa.
Khaki. Bill O'Reilly.
That's the Pashtun pronunciation.
Bill O'Reilly was stating the other night that he was very uncomfortable. He thought it was disrespectful that of the speaking in Arab and praising Allah. But he was stating to somebody the other night on his program that, and he was talking like he knows something or know that there's a shoe going to fall. But he says that it's going to come out that Bergdahl and the dad are both in sympathy with the Taliban. Mm-hmm. So, did the Taliban recruit him? Did he join them voluntarily?
I don't know. It sounds like that he did.
Was he, a plant by the U.S.? Was he a double spy? I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios.
That's the thing. There's just
and nobody knows the truth, and nobody's going to tell the truth.
Right. Yeah, I really don't know. What more can you say? It's just remarkable what is going on.
I mentioned to you something earlier this week when we talked on the phone, and I was mentioning to you that, why wouldn't Obama secure the guy's release? He's apparently a traitor. Mm-hmm. He's showed contempt and hate for America.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of America haters in the White House. So why wouldn't it be the logical step or the logical conclusion that they would get somebody out who was one of their fellow comrades?
Well, everything that's done is done in a multifaceted approach. Like you said, we do know Obama does hate America. That's not debatable. That really isn't. He's against the principles of this country. We are fairly certain that Obama is a Muslim, and these seem like the actions of a Muslim, from Indonesia, who is kind of acting as a sleeper here in the United States.
Well, we're coming up on our final break, and I think we will forgo Hypocrites of the Week unless you have one.
No,
so we'll continue with the Bergdahl story. And this has been Frankly Speaking Live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and co-host David Kaniuk.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places, especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
All across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life. Change your relationships. Transform your world.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kaniuk. Before the break, we were mentioning about our pair of America haters in the White House. And I just wanted to mention that this is an indisputable fact that these guys, I mean, they're both students of Saul Alinsky. Mm-hmm. They're both schooled in Marxism and Leninism. They had all kinds of contemporary, I can't think of the word I want to use, but they, speaking of Bill Ayers and Reverend Wright, but Michelle stated, I believe it was when Barack, her husband, got through the primaries, that's the first time that she had ever been proud of America.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And I immediately thought to myself, well, how the Allies pulled together in World War II and fought back Nazism. Thinking about the Space Challenger that blew up when Ronald Reagan was president, and how Reagan and the country kind of pulled together. And then I think about the 1980 Olympic hockey team, defeating the Russians in the 80 Olympics. I mean, this woman found nothing, and those are just a few things that I can think of off the top of my head.
No, it sounds like the talks, the ramblings of somebody who has been recruited. From what I understand, Obama was recruited as a young 16-year-old boy in Indonesia. He's recruited by the KGB. So he's a Soviet through and through. He was sent through their agents here, like Bill Ayers, like Frank Marshall Davis. This guy is a Muslim. He's a communist. He's at war with America. He's at war with Christianity. He's at war with the veterans. He's at war with every good pillar of this country.
Well, the word that was escaping me a few minutes ago when I was mentioning Ayers and Wright was obviously mentors. I was not word wasn't coming to my brain with my brain freeze and all. But I was mentioning to you on the phone the other night, and it was something that I meant to look up this week because I hate to say things without giving an exact name. Mm-hmm. But I remember it's been. It's probably been in the last year. Sean Hannity had a particular author on his show, and the author's name escapes me, and I'm going to have to do some Google search to find it, and I'll try to make mention to you of that name in the next couple of weeks if I can find that. But Hannity had this author on who actually interviewed Barack's pastor, Reverend Wright, for I think it was 3 hours.
Okay.
And the author asked Reverend Wright if Obama had ever converted to Christianity. That supposedly he was once a Muslim. We know that for a fact. Right. He was a Muslim.
You have to be a Muslim and an Indonesian citizen to attend school in Indonesia.
Okay. So we know that Obama was once a Muslim, and that's not necessarily the problem. I could potentially vote for a Muslim. I could vote for a Mormon. I could vote for whatever, as long as they uphold our laws. And we know going in that they're a Muslim, they're a Mormon, they're whatever, because the presidency has no litmus test or no religious test.
Sure.
So that's not the problem. But Reverend Wright says when asked whether Obama ever converted, Wright says, I don't know.
Yeah, you would think as his pastor, he should know, and if he attended church for years and years, he should probably know. He didn't convert, nor did he renounce his Indonesian citizenship, which he had to be a citizen. He was a citizen of Indonesia when he was adopted by Lolo Sutaro in Indonesia. You have to be an Indonesian citizen to attend school. That's why his college transcripts are all locked away, because he got aid as a foreign student.
Well, that's right. Here's the only two possibilities on that. I mean, he is either not a citizen of the U.S. or he is a citizen of the U.S. and lied on his college applications for foreign student aid.
I don't think he did. I think he is a foreign student. Remember, this guy also traveled to Pakistan back when he was younger, back when we didn't have any travel to Pakistan, we did not allow U.S. citizens to travel to Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yeah. So how did
you have
I'm
to
sorry.
say it?
I got to say it in perfect.
Well, no, you have to say it in the Barack Obama fashion.
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
This is a guy who said that he had been to all 57 states. Well, there are 57 Muslim states. Seriously, back in the campaign in 2008, he had talked about.
I know. He said 57 states.
No, this guy, he is at absolute war with us, and that's why I say something as radical as, is he trying to provoke a coup by people who are still good in the military, so that way he has an excuse to purge even further, or just drop the hammer, so to speak?
Well, there's speculation that I heard somebody on TV on MSNBC on Chris Hayes' show actually espouse the thought that we ought to be in more negotiations with Afghanistan and the Taliban because of our need to shut down Gitmo. So what they're thinking is this has been the problem all along, is what do you do with these people? We certainly don't want to put them in American prisons because we don't want them to recruit, potential people in prison and proselytize is the word I was looking for. We don't want them proselytizing in our American system. So what do we do with these people? And there's no real good answers. Bush didn't have a good answer. We have this thing on the, that's, I guess, a part of Cuba that we inhabit, Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay. Do you know of any better solution for these people? But the talk this week is this is his way of giving advance notice that he's going to try to shut down Gitmo, and so we're going to start releasing these people and try to find homes for them.
Well, if anything, I mean, the UN wanted to try these guys for war crimes. Why not turn them over to the UN and have them tried in an international court?
Well, supposedly somebody in the UN is squawking that one of these particular guys is wanted for war crimes by the UN, and they don't get a chance to prosecute this guy.
Two of them, actually. Like we had said, this is a Fox News report. Two of them, Mullah Nourullah Nouri and Mullah Mohammed Fazi.
And that's easy for you to say.
Mullah Mohammed Fazi! Both of them are wanted for killing thousands of Shiite Muslims.
Let's
so it
just
kind of
call
makes you
him
wonder, is
Fozzie
Obama
the
Sunni?
bear. Well, the real question is, and the bottom line to this whole story, we can rant and rave and pee and moan about it, but the bottom line of the whole story is, why? What is the purpose? What purpose is Obama getting for doing this? I mean, he's absolutely alienating the citizens of the United States.
It's either to alienate citizens of the United States and alienate the military, or these guys are some sort of operatives that we were using in the past. Mohammed Nabi Omari was part of the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union, so he probably had intelligence ties with the CIA back then. So maybe these are people that we want. We know that they're funding Al-Qaeda networks like Boko Haram and the Free Syrian Army and different factions in Libya. We know they're funding them. So maybe we want these guys out there for some sort of destabilization campaigns, or maybe we just want it as an excuse to continue turning up the surveillance boots here in the U.S.
Let me ask you this final question in the last 30 seconds. What do you think about Jonathan Turley's comment that our co-equal branches of government is morphing into an imperialistic or uber presidency?
It's already past that point. Obama declared himself the dictator back in January with his "I have a pen and I have a phone" comment. And I know that, again, can seem like kind of a radical thing, but he is saying with his phone and his pen, he will give the orders. He will dictate the orders. So by very definition, if he is one who dictates, he is a dictator.
Well, I think he should just take to the balcony of the White House with his bullhorn and start yelling out dictates from the top of the White House, and he won't have to use his pen or his phone.
That might be it. I was going to say, check out franklyspeakinglive.com. I'm posting a video, The Real Reason Obama's at War with the Vets, and I'm going to post an article about Eric Holder. He's creating a homegrown
This has
terrorism
been Frankly Speaking Live, and we will return next week at this same time and same channel.